afternoon. We're here today with family members of Anton Black and the Coalition for Justice for Anton Black to announce resolution of a portion of the lawsuit that they filed in federal court charging police and municipal officials with the unconstitutional killing of their beloved son in 2018. The landmark Black versus Webster settlement goes far beyond most in police killing cases in that it focuses on implementing reforms aimed at saving other families from future police violence as it does on monetary relief. The reforms required under the settlement include overhaul of use of force policies for 3 Eastern Shore municipalities, enhancement of resources for police confronting mental health emergencies, officer training and de-escalation, intervention and implicit bias, hiring transparency, and public complaint reporting. These challenges build on several noteworthy reforms already achieved by the family and the coalition, including the passage of statewide Anton's Law, which requires accountability in police records and release to the public. We're going to hear today from Anton Black, father of Anton Black, who is here with Janelle, Anton's mother. We're also, in a little while, going to hear from Aaron Lloyd, who is Anton's brother. We're also going to hear from Renee Swafford and Tamika Church, attorneys for the family, and Richard Potter from the Coalition for Justice for Anton Black. But first we'll hear from Anton.
I'm Anton Black. Anton Black was my son, my beloved child. I don't know if you know the story, but Anton, he was an actor. At 18, he got a part in the movie. He didn't get to play it. They killed him. At 18, he was working down to Kmart, Walmart. Came to me to put him up front. He didn't like it. Dad, he got me up front. I don't want to be up front. He told him, go ahead, go to work. Go ahead, just put your best up front. 2 weeks later, I come down there and say, Dad, everybody come to my register and say I should be a model or an actor. You know, back in the day, we thought we were pretty boys, all of us. We thought we could be a model. That lasted about a week. With him, when I told him go for it, we were in Virginia. We went to modeling school, modeling class. We went to New York, New Jersey, Philadelphia. 4 months from the day that I told him to go for it, he was in New York City on New York Fashion Week, modeling on national TV. Andrea Ware sent him there, and he didn't get to go back because they took his life in Greensboro. Andrea Ware was going to send him to Italy and pay him to model. He didn't get to go. They killed him. She told me she was going to bring him back and let him go to California and apply his trade, which was acting and modeling. He didn't get to go. They took his life in Greensboro. They took his life for walking up the street in horseplay, roughhousing with his cousin-in-law, someone he knew since he was a little kid. They put out a lie that said, my son tried to kidnap somebody, which sounds crazy to me. They tried to kidnap a little child. That was a lie. Thank God for Dateline. That's the Hope, Ramon, Justice, and Dan for telling the story and putting it out there for people to see. He was just horse playing. The boy never did say he tried to hurt him, kill him, anything. No kidnap. They just jumped on him and chased him and just broke in on him. They killed him at his house. All he wanted to do was go home. And when they got to him, that's where he was, home, sitting in his car. They broke the window, came in, tased him. House is right there. His mother's right there. She didn't hear it. He's trying to get to his mother. Mommy, help me. They're all over him. The biggest guy was on him when he died. Didn't get on the last guy. Didn't get off of him until he was dead. They had to know that he was dying. You can't kill somebody with your bare hands and not know they're taking their last breath. Or they kick him for the last time. They shake him. They killed my son for no reason other than horseplay. And like I said, I want to thank Dateline for putting it out there because it makes you wonder how many other stories are not told. You know, like Anton's. I hope this will help somebody else. You know, that this happens to. I've always said that Anton Black was George Floyd before George Floyd. Because the same thing that happened to Anton happened to George Floyd. Anton was at his house. He begged for his life, please don't kill me. They didn't get off of him. He said it again. Mommy, please don't let him kill me. This is as if he was letting us know that they were trying to kill him. Somebody was, because he killed him. They didn't get off this boy, even after he begged for his life, until he was dead. A little 19-year-old, 140-pound boy. Somebody put out a lie saying that they couldn't handle him by themselves. They 200 pounds. That was a lie. His little sisters and nieces, they all were out in the It's just a and they so they lied. You know? The person I was talking about kicks the guy in the head and said, "Walk with a gun with his hands on the ground and this is just so." A lot of lies were told. I'm glad Dateline came along and put it on the air. Anton Black. To this day, nobody's been charged. Not even a misdemeanor for killing my child. I'll always remember it. To y'all, it was almost 4 years ago. To me, it was yesterday. Thank you.
Next, we're going to hear from Renee Swallow.
Good afternoon. The litigation is not over. We have a partial settlement, yes. It's not over because the struggle for many of us is eternal. What happened to Anton Black could happen to any black child or adult. Anton died because of the stress of 43 blunt trauma wounds he sustained from his altercation with police officers. The implications from the medical examiner's office was extremely far-reaching. The office deliberately substituted what Anton died with, bipolar disorder, instead of what he died from, positional asphyxiation, as his cause of death, which, in our opinion, sends a very strong message to this community that they refuse to convict white officers who abuse black people. The autopsy mischaracterized Anton's death as accidental. There was nothing accidental about it. There was nothing accidental about chasing him, breaking the window, getting him down to the ground, shackling him, and applying their body glue until Anton was dead. The manner of death in this case, in Anton Black's case, is a homicide. Thank you.
Next, we will hear from Tamika Church.
We are happy that we obtained some justice for the family of Anton Black. But some justice is not full justice. There still remains others who need to be held accountable for this tragedy, including the state of Maryland and its medical examiners, David Fowler and Russell Alexander. We intend to pursue all viable claims against these state defendants. We'll continue to fight for further equitable reforms and additional monetary compensation on behalf of the family of Anton Black. Thank you.
Richard Potter with the Coalition for Justice.
Good afternoon, everyone. Today marks the page of another chapter being turned in the pursuit for justice for Anton Black. As you've heard, we have received some equitable relief, and the coalition will work with the communities that have been impacted, Caroline, Queen Anne County, in helping those organizations that are like-minded, such as the NAACP, so that they are aware of what these reliefs are, so that they can also be monitoring the progress of these equitable reliefs. It's important that we work to continue to educate not only our communities on these equitable reliefs, but we want to make sure that we hold them accountable for as they are producing them for us. As you heard earlier, we will continue to seek justice because, again, justice has not been granted to us in its fullness. And we will continue to work with our community partners and our community organizations to make sure that is done in an equitable manner that provides relief not only to the family but to the community. And then upon us receiving that equitable relief, we're also going to have to work with the communities to start the reconciliation process and the process for healing and how do we move forward as a community. Community ends in the word unity. That's not by design or it's by intention. In order for a community to exist, it has to have unity in it. So that is our vision moving forward in terms of how we plan to make our communities aware of these equitable reliefs, is to provide the unity in our community to help address it. Thank you so much.
That concludes our speakers for today. Are there any questions?
Would you elaborate on how the reforms go further than Anton's law and other measures passed by the Maryland General Assembly?
Hi, I'm Debbie Gio, and I'm the legal director at the ACLU of Maryland and one of the lawyers for the coalition. So the equitable reforms that are being implemented include a series of new use of force policies being adopted in each of the municipalities that was involved in this incident that go beyond what's required by the minimum in the state law, and that they are focused on the types of issues that arose here in this case. That use of prone restraint was the key issue here, where Anton was asphyxiated by having him kept down on his stomach with the weight of officers against on him, and so the reforms in the use of force policies will caution against that. Well, there's additional training being required for officers in responding to mental health emergencies, which is what the officers in this case contended that they were confronting. They said that they were treating the matter as a mental health emergency, not as an arrest, and yet they responded with excessive force. And so there's been training in how to respond to mental health emergencies. A greater alliance made with the Eastern Shore Mental Health Crisis Center, so that all officers that are out on the streets are aware that they can call on that center. There's also going to be additional transparency measures that are put into place by each of the municipalities about who they hire, and when new officers are hired in each town, they'll be introduced to the community at the outset. There'll be information provided about the new officers, and then at the first town meeting that's conducted in the town after the officer's hiring, they'll be introduced, and folks in the community will get a chance to meet that officer and introduce themselves to the officer. There's additional training in bystander responsibility. Like if an officer sees another officer using excessive force, they're required to step in and to stop that and to report when that type of offense occurs. There's going to be additional training in implicit bias and in what's the third thing that was so the reforms we're hopeful will take all these communities a step further toward safer, public servants who really serve the community
also have Aaron Lloyd, who is Anton's brother, who is here to share a few words as well.
Hello, everybody. Anton's older brother. Me and Anton was 9 years apart. I knew Anton ever since he came out the womb. Anton was an amazing, amazing little brother. It hurts me till this day knowing that my little brother is gone. Every day I wake up, I think about him, no matter what the situation is, no matter what. He just was an amazing person. I mean, he had big expectations, high hopes. He had big dreams. When he was a little kid, he did things in sports he was better than me at, and I was his older brother. It was just his smile, his aura, his everything was just wonderful. I just wish that his life wasn't cut short the way it was. I just hope that me and my family just get all the justice that we need to heal, but in all reality, we'll never heal. I never did a speech before, so I'm a little nervous. But other than that, Anton just was an amazing person. I just gotta keep saying that because he warmed your heart no matter who you was, what you looked like, where you was. You know, when us siblings used to argue or something like that, he'd be the main one. Stop fighting. Stop. Stop fighting. So Anton always had a great heart. I just miss him every day. Every day. There's things, you know, that just reminds me of him, things that I eat, things that I do. It's just some of the things I just can't get out of my mind. Anton, and what hurts me the most, he never got to meet his daughter. That's what hurts me the most. She looks just like him. I just wanted to say, just hope my family get all the justice we need, and that's all. Thank you.
Are there any further questions?
Are you allowed to say what the monetary payout was, and what is the next step in terms of criminal justice and social civil justice?
It's in the press release. There's $5 million in damages paid to the family. And like we said, like the attorney said already, their portion of the case related to claims against the medical examiner for colluding with police in their story of what happened to Anton continues. So that portion of the case, there still needs to be accountability.
One of the requests that's been made of the medical and the underlying claims of the medical examiner is that the autopsy of Anton be reconducted again. And the Attorney General's office is already conducting an overall investigation of all of the autopsies that were done during David Fowler's tenure, which is a lot of additional autopsies. But if the autopsy is done again and the erroneous conclusions are corrected, then there's an opportunity for reconsideration of whether the officers involved should be prosecuted. Because if it's no longer considered an accident in which there is no responsibility of the officers, then a fresh look can be taken at whether the organization.
And to follow up on what you're just saying, if in fact the autopsy is corrected and it does say homicide, who would bring the charges? Would that have to be Caroline County State's Attorney's Office, or could some other entity take the charges, bring them?
One of the reforms that's recently been put in place is that the Attorney General's office now has a special unit that looks into those things. But even when the Attorney General's office investigates, the prosecutions are still done by the local state's attorneys unless some special procedure is put into place. And so, in all likelihood, it comes back to Caroline.
Are there any further questions?
Do you have any concerns that the state's attorney here locally is too closely connected to the situation with their relationship with local law enforcement, that they would be biased. Is that, do you have any concerns that the local state's attorney's office is too closely connected to the law enforcement, or too closely connected to this case to be unbiased?
Yes. Yes, my answer, yes. Of course they are. State's attorney lived right across the street from the guy that was on top of my son when he died.
Can you step in front of the mic?
Nanos. Yeah, they were good old boys together. They lived side by side. He was the last man on top of my son, great big guy. He was the one that was on top of when he was shaking and dying and begging for his life. So this fraternity lived side by side.
They're best friends.
It's a good old boy, man. No charges. They killed him. Not even a misdemeanor charge. You do a dog like they did my son, somebody be charged. Somebody be in jail. These fellas should be under the jail. He didn't do anything. You understand? He told them I didn't do anything to him. He's my little brother. That's what he called him. His little brother. Harassment. Something we've done in the country all our lives. But it's not a death sentence. Somebody lies and trying to take a little child. The boy was 12 years old. They were wrestling. Anton was wrestling too tough.
And I don't understand if it was supposed to be so much of a kidnapping, how are they going to let the little boy walk away
They knew it wasn't.
and chase after Anton?
And I never see them
Everybody knew where me and Anton lived. So it wasn't like they couldn't have came to the house later on. They let the little boy just go about his business.
They seen
But
them all
yet
day.
he's supposed to be being kidnapped.
They seen them all day. The cop even
Yeah, I
told
know.
her, oh, we seen them walking together all day playing basketball. So they knew it wasn't a kidnapping. They took after him for no reason. You see me out there wrestling, you're gonna call the cops and say I'm trying to kidnap somebody? No gun, no knife, no duct tape, no rope, no car to push him in or woods to pull him in. They're on the main street in broad daylight. He's walking in his own block. His house is right over there. Everybody knew this boy. He was a star player, champion runner. Just got off national TV modeling at 18. On his way to Italy. The lady even said she was going to send him to France after Italy. Didn't get to do none of that because they killed him in Greensboro for walking down the street playing with his cousin-in-law. And there's no justice. Nobody's charged. If it hadn't been for us to hold in Dateline, it would never got out. Just locally. This probably has happened to many people. Thank God for Dateline, let's hope them. At least they put our story out. Maybe there's some more out there. But how do you kill somebody and nobody gets charged? Come on now, that's not right. Come on. They killed this boy in his own step. His mother's right there. He's begging them not to kill him. All they had to do was let him up. He's home. Why was he going? Why was the handcuffs there anyway? On his foot. He was at his own doorstep. Think about somebody coming to your house and handcuff you for an allegation. You say, well, I didn't do anything.
And the keys to his car was in the house. I had his keys.
And he had a flat tire.
And he had a flat tire.
I didn't
So
fix
he
it.
couldn't even move his car.
And they had him blocked in by that big SUV.
And both of my cars was there, so they knew I was home.
In my opinion, somebody didn't like him. Somebody might have been jealous of him. Or he might have talked to somebody's girl. I'm not saying all of them meant to kill him, but somebody did. That's my opinion.
Meredith, I do have one more. How will the federal court monitor the settlement? In Baltimore City, there's a consent decree. There are people watching. Is this something that has to be reported to the court for a violation, or someone actually watch it?
The way the settlement works is that it's.
Can you step up to the mics, please?
If it's alleged that there's a violation of the settlement agreement, the equitable terms of the settlement agreement, there's a consultation requirement, and then the court will be alerted if there's a dispute. So it's not exactly like the federal court monitor in the case, but it's there's a compromise system where you could return to the federal court if the settlement's not. And there is a reporting requirement for police misconduct complaints need to be reported annually whether they're meeting their training requirements, all of that information reported to the lawyers who are plaintiffs, and then if there's a problem,
Thank you very much. There are copies of the press release over here if you haven't gotten a copy. At the AC of Maryland's website, there are the legal documents related to the partial settlement and also information about the continuing parts of the case against the Maryland medical examiner and also Dr. David Fowler, who testified in support of Derek Chauvin in the trial where he was found guilty of murdering